Okay, I have done this in other sections, but in case you have jumped directly to this section, I wanted to introduce again the idea of climatology and change. We keep saying climate change, and yet we haven't clearly defined it. We said that Arctic temperatures have warmed by 5 point some degree Fahrenheit or 3 point some degree centigrade since 1900. So that's a change, which means things are going in the same direction for a while. One year it may go up and come back down, but if you look at 10-year chunks, as we said, it's getting warmer and warmer. So we'll visit this concept again. So I want to introduce this a bit more by using some data from India. You can use data from anywhere you are living. So India has New Delhi here, which is the capital, and Mumbai is a massive city that's down here. There is a Chennai, another city down here, and I think we look at Bangalore, which is somewhere in the middle. So India is a fairly large country, and it gets very hot in general because it's still mostly a tropical, subtropical country, and it has the dramatic monsoon system and so on. So let's look at some data. Temperature trend in India's megacities. When we say trend, that's what we mean, that it is trending, it is going in one direction. So you say fashion trend means fashion is changing, and it's moving in another direction, that it was away from where it was before. So Delhi getting cooler and Mumbai getting warmer. This is a question, which means even as global warming is happening, let's say we are measuring here from 1980 to 2020 or so, it's produced by this source called Era 5 and some newspaper, magazine called India Today. And what is it showing? We defined temperatures and then anomalies before. So this is showing total temperatures. We'll come back to anomalies a little bit later. So it is approximately showing blue colors as colder and warm colors as hotter. What do we mean by colder and hotter? Which means compared to some period, which tends to be called the baseline. So they are using 1980 to 2010 as a baseline, which means you take every month's temperature, every January averaged over 1980 to 2010. So you will have 80 January, 81 January, 82 January, and so on, and you make the average and say what an average January looks like if you look at the period of 1980 to 2010. And you do the same thing for every February, March, and so on, and you have a baseline year, which you call climatology, because you see that every year that is shown here in colors. So 1980 started, January was warm, and then it got less warm, and then it got colder, and so on and so forth. Obviously you also have winters and summers, right? So they are averaging here in some way. Maybe they are averaging every year and giving you just one number for the year. It's called the annual mean. If you average all of 1980, what's the temperature? If you average all of 1981, what's the temperature? And so on. So you see that 80 was warm, and then it got cooler, and then it got warmer again, and so on. This is called natural variability, that one year can be warmer or cooler than the previous year, and so on. But if you look at Delhi carefully from 1980 to 2010, there is a red line, dotted line, that is being shown, which is trying to see if temperatures are moving in one particular direction. Is every year approximately getting warmer than the previous year, even though you have ups and downs? Doesn't seem so. And it says here, is Delhi getting cooler? Well, if you look at Mumbai, then you see that the Delhi temperature, which started here in 1980 with 25 point something, was at 24 point something in 2020. So has it cooled? Well, Mumbai on the other hand has approximately gone up, in the sense this dashed red line is trending upward. Kolkata, not also trending a little bit upward. Chennai trending upward, maybe bit steeper than Mumbai or Kolkata. So stare at these figures a little bit, but try to get a sense that temperature will always change from year to year, as we discussed before. I will briefly say that the ocean is deep. It has high heat capacity, which means it takes a lot of energy to warm it up, which means it warms slowly compared to, let's say, land. Land is like, imagine a pot and water inside. The pot is made of metal, it warms very fast, and the water warms slowly. Similarly, land warms faster than the ocean, and ocean is deep, several kilometers deep, so it can keep on taking heat and release it. So one year it may take up the heat and cool the atmosphere above. In another year it may give up the heat and warm the atmosphere above, all because of natural changes. But if temperatures are moving in the same direction from 1980 to 2020 in Mumbai and in Chennai and Kolkata, then this is called a trend. You can call it change. How long does it have to be going in one direction to call it change? There is no strict definition. Typically we look at trends from the beginning of the Industrial Revolution to the present and say it is all going up. Okay, so here comes the concept of anomalies. So maybe I should do this in the next podcast, because I'm about to get somebody coming here to pick me up to go for lunch. It's Saturday. I'm doing this just because I had a little bit of free time and I was waiting for going out to lunch. So I thought I'll crank out a couple of podcasts for you, doing this for you. Okay, so we'll come back and define anomalies, but you already know what it means. Anomaly is basically something that is anomalous. It's not what you expect, right? So very quickly to explain it, if you are sitting here, let's say on May 25th in India, in Mumbai, you expect it to be very warm and humid. But if somehow clouds came and it rained, then it'll be cooler. If it is cooler than normal, then we call it anomalously cold. If it is warmer than normal, in fact right now we are in a kind of a warmer than normal year. All of May has been warmer than normal, so this is called warm anomaly. So cold anomaly and warm anomaly. What do? You basically take many years of temperatures for May 25, you make an average and you say that's the expected climatology of temperature for May 25, and then you say today, the May 25th of 2024, is it warmer than the expected May from a lot of years, or is it cooler than the expected May from lot of years? That's what you would call anomaly, right? These are useful because you can say this year is warmer than the years before, or this year actually feels cooler, and so on and so forth, right? So anomalies are very useful. For example, when you have a fever, your temperature is warm. It is warmer than normal. So your mom can just touch your forehead and say, oh my child, you have a fever, because she knows what the normal temperature is supposed to feel like, right? So she says you have a fever, then she has to take care of you. She has to take you to the doctor or put an ice band on your head and so on and so forth. Okay, so try not to have a fever, but you get a sense of what a climatology is, which is the average you expect, and you do that by averaging either a particular day over many years, or a particular month, a particular week, years over the year, many years, and so on. So if you say annual mean temperature is going up year after year since 1900, then you say, oh, that's warming, right? So we'll come back and add to this a little bit more detail, but this is useful concept to have because we keep saying climate change and do not properly define it. So you are imagining something, but you know that there is a quantitative way to measure the change and then call it change, but it doesn't solve the question of how long does it have to change to be called a change. Does it have to change for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? In general, we can say for multiple generations. Let's say a generation is, depending on how long we live, let's say a generation is some 30 years, because then you have kids and a new generation comes along. So if temperatures go in one direction for 30 years, let's say Mumbai is getting warmer for 30 years and Delhi is getting cooler for 30 years, is that change? It depends on the details, but for now you just remember that if things keep changing in one direction instead of going up and down, then we call it change or trend. So see you in the next podcast, okay?